Listen up, gumshoes. We're hot on the trail.
Mr. Stephen Quincy Urkel, last seen in the vicinity of Chicago, Illinois.
Listen in as we follow in his footsteps and attempt to find the elusive Stephen Q. Urkel.
Last seen in Port Washington and San Francisco. And somehow he ended up in space. And with the Scooby-Doo gang. Man, he's been everywhere.
This begs the question, where in the world is Stephen Quincy Urkel? A limited series from the Zero Science Podcast Network. Did we do that?
Yes, we did. Be cool, Daddy-O. Because hell is a musical, hell is a musical. Musical, hell. Stuck with Travolta and other people that you hate, but you have to do it anyway. Stuck in musical hell. With Lil and Scott.
And then fire shot down from the sky in bolts like shining blades of a knife. And it ripped right through the flesh of the children of the sun and the moon and the earth. And some in
Hello, and welcome to Hell is the Musical, where the road to hell is paved with choreographed and razzmatazz intentions. I'm Scott.
And I'm Lels. I don't have a joke today.
I was like, whoa, no joke.
Whoa, no joke Lils. Okay.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't always have to be like big goof 'em up time, you know. I'm a multi-dimensional, multifaceted person with layers and shit.
Yeah.
It's not always gonna be fart boner fun time.
Oh, is that the newest Kevin Smith movie?
No, that's my new podcast. Fart boner time.
Fun time. You forgot.
Co-hosted by Kevin Smith.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess that one's still up for grabs. Go for it, Kevin Smith.
And that voice is return guest, because we promised her something good next time she came back. It's Ashley Lauren Rogers.
Hello, everyone.
Did we redeem ourselves?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
like
Lils, I'm kicking Ashley out now. We're going to talk about this, and she'll be back to do Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Great. Very excited.
What? No!
Send me off to that Space in Superman 2 where I'm just inside of a flat diamond until the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
The Phantom Zone.
I always had questions about the Phantom Zone.
One.
Like, how do they poop?
I mean, the answer is uncomfortably.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go into like all the physics of that, of that dimension, but just looking at it, I would assume it's a weird fishbowl situation, and that's part of the punishment.
Oh yeah.
I just remember the big guy who has no lines in that telling stories about how much he hated Christopher Reeve. Because in the second one, he would just come on set and be like, "I'm Superman." I think that's the title of this episode. I'm Superman.
Or Hedwig the Angry Inch. I feel like we should workshop that.
So, you just told us what we watched today. We watched Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And, Ashley, why don't you tell us
Wait. We were supposed to watch Hedwig and the Angry Inch?
Did you watch? What did you watch?
Oh, shit. I watched Prom 2, Gordon Bombay's Revenge.
Gordon Bombay's Revenge. So they combined both Prom and the Mighty Ducks.
Prom and this is the film that shows you that Prom and the Mighty Ducks are the same universe canonically.
Oh my god!
I would pay good money.
And Gordon Bombay has a vendetta against Meryl Streep's character for eating all the apps at
Applebee's.
I just want to hear Ryan Murphy's pitch for the Mighty Ducks.
Well. It's
nothing else. I don't want to see it. I don't want anything to happen with it. I just want to hear the pitch for Ryan Murphy's version of the Mighty Ducks.
It would be Ice Capades, right? It would have to be Ice Capades, knowing Ryan Murphy. Like, it's not hockey, it's Ice Capades. He's going to combine Mighty Ducks with the cutting edge.
The Mighty Ducks, literally just Disney on ice.
But I wanted to be Donald. Here's my impression. Hi, I'm Donald Duck.
Whack, whack. I'm angry and my nephews hate me.
Yeah, Huey Lewis in the news.
That's where that clip goes.
Yes.
So, why don't you tell us what Hedwig and the Angry Inch is about?
Absolutely. Hedwig and the Angry Inch is about a singer of a punk band who, in order to escape the pre-Berlin Wall coming down Germany, essentially goes through a back alley sex change, for lack of better terms, and comes to America, becomes the punk rock star, and it's all about her story, telling everything of where she is now and her unfortunate relationship with her longtime fling, who is now much more popular and much more successful than she is.
Tommy Gnosis, more like Tommy Grossis.
Honestly, there's a lot of gross stuff in this. I love this movie so much, but it's a very gross movie when it
Yeah.
comes down to it.
Yeah, I never want to eat gummy bears again.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, but the moment that popped on screen, like, and I'm trying to like cut sugar out of my diet to like just lose weight and stuff, but the moment I saw those gummy bears, I thought, I kind of want some fucking gummy bears. Just a big old bag of Albanese.
But I saw on the bag it said the fat-free gummy bears. I'm like, oh no, those give you diarrhea.
I don't want those gummy bears.
I was like, those
No,
are the ones
thank
that give you the trots.
All of this is bad. Just that entire scene. This adds more to how bad that scene feels when you think about it.
Yes. I got more uncomfortable when Luther shows up a scene later, covered in chocolate,
Yeah.
candy bars, wrappers,
Just
everywhere.
Just to throw this out for those who haven't seen the movie,
had
because
20
it's
years.
part of the narrative. You've had 20 years, but because of the narrative, there's a lot of essentially like let's kind of go through a quick content warning, just because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I think we should at least
Yes.
acknowledge. The soundtrack is just stellar.
Yeah, the music is like a combination. Even though like Modest Mouse wasn't really huge at that time, I was getting a lot of Isaac Brock like melodies, like
Interesting.
and a lot of the Pixies.
Mm.
Well, I mean, one of the people that wrote the songs was Bob Mould of Husker Du.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay, that does make sense.
yeah, and John Cameron Mitchell, they can fucking sing.
Mhm.
The pipes on them.
Oh yes.
Yep.
The one big thing that stuck out to me going into this, and I kind of already knew it because I was already familiar with one song, which is another story I'll get into. But like the thing that stuck out to me the most is that this bills itself as a rock musical, and it legitimately sounds like a rock musical and not just in the, you know, flimsy Jonathan Larson soft rock Howie Day sense of.
Okay, it's funny you mentioned Jonathan Larson because John Cameron Mitchell was offered the part of Angel in Rent and turned it down to be Hedwig, to write their own rock opera.
Good
And
choice.
because
Good fucking choice.
A million percent agreed.
John Cameron Mitchell worked at that diner that Jonathan Larson worked at with Roger Bart and all these other Broadway actors making milkshakes. Making milkshakes with Jonathan Larson sounds like the saddest thing in the world.
I think it sounds like a great podcast for John Cameron Mitchell.
Which
to
part? The making
start.
milkshakes part or the being next to Jonathan Larson?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I still have his characterization from Tick Tick Boom in mind, and he just Andrew Garfield is a good actor, but the way he portrayed him just makes him seem like the worst kind of person to spend 5 minutes next to.
Apparently, he actually did say, I found this out later, going back to our Tick Tick Boom episode, he did say that he is the future of musical theater. Several times at
Woof.
several different parties.
Woof.
I hate to say it. I'm not a fan of Rent, but at the same time, he's not completely
I don't hate
wrong.
to say it at all. Rent fucking sucks.
No, that I love saying. It's more I hate saying he wasn't completely wrong. To be perfectly frank,
Yeah.
Rent really was revolutionary. As much as I don't care for it.
Which
I
makes me
mean,
sad that Hedwig wasn't as revolutionary.
Let's
Yeah.
move on to something better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the history of the show itself started off Broadway and then got so much attention that do you know who was the big pioneer to get this in Broadway theaters? Rosie O'Donnell, you cutie patooties.
Oh, that makes sense why she did a
Dang.
cameo. Okay.
That wasn't a cameo. That was the clip from the actual
Wow.
when she had them on
That's amazing.
doing Origin of Love.
It's been
Oh,
so
that's
long.
amazing.
It's forget that like Rosie O'Donnell had a TV show at one point.
Oh, come on, you cutie patooties.
Yeah.
I was in an
Is she doing
antiques-
anything now?
No, is she still on The View, or did she get removed from The View?
She
don't-
was removed from The View very quickly, I feel
Yeah.
like.
No, she was on for 5 years at least.
Oh, really?
Wow. Well, I mean, in the scope of the View, I suppose that's really quickly. Been around for very long.
I was at an antique store and they had the Rosie O'Donnell Barbie doll that they
Wow.
made, and I was
Huh.
like, I am uncomfortable now. And now every time we go to that antique store, I always see it, and it follows
Even though-
me with
even
its
if it's not
doll's
there?
eyes.
Is it always
So-
there watching, waiting,
Yes,
commiserating?
but
Say it ain't so.
but the history of this show.
Hmm.
So John Cameron Mitchell was the original Hedwig, but there were several famous people who replaced them after they left,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those people was Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club.
Dang.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that. I learned that. The most common one was Michael Cerveris, who is, he's Mr. Broadway.
Yeah.
Um,
Got
and
to meet
he's
Michael
Broadway
Cerveris.
famous.
did you?
Yeah, I got to meet him. I got to meet him twice. I got to meet him for my birthday on the set of the Sweeney Todd, on the stage of Sweeney Todd.
On the set of
On the
Todd.
theater set, on the stage of Sweeney Todd. My wife is amazing and a miracle worker, and somehow got us on stage for my birthday, and I got to ask him a bunch of questions.
May I pet your head? And he goes, no.
So, and I also got to meet him maybe 2-3 years ago when the Tick on Amazon Prime was around. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, I loved that show. I will hear no bad word of it.
No,
but at the
I
same
love
time,
that show.
yeah.
I love
Okay,
Griffin
good.
Newman. Like,
Yeah, but
and
it was
Peter Serafinowicz.
it was so good, and I got to just kind of tell Michael Cerveris like, hey, maybe about a decade ago I met you on stage, and it's kind of helped me find that center and really stay with a career in the arts. So it was just really nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hear he's awesome. And the last person was Donovan Leitch. Donovan, they call me Mellow Yellow Singer,
Really?
Sunshine Superman.
Season of the Witch,
What?
Atlantis.
Wow.
When
Yeah,
the
I-
origins
I-
of love and Atlantis was born, and the wizard and magician were there.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
I remember. So the way that I got into Hedwig is I was a metalhead before I was out, before I was trans, before I was. I think this was even before I was out as a crossdresser, because that was that was sort of the words that I used to understand my identity at the time.
Because the words hadn't been crafted yet.
Yeah, they hadn't.
The proper words.
The proper words hadn't come to me yet. So it was like, this is what I am, I guess. This makes sense. Sure, why not? And for that, I was going on blabbermouth.net to all of the heavy metal news. And I was hearing all of these heavy metal stars, in particular Peter Steele from Typo Negative, going to Hedwig and the Angry Inch constantly.
Yeah, Typo Negative covered a song. They covered Angry Inch on their album Life is Killing Me.
Yeah, there was also another charity album called Wig in a Box, which was it was a charity album. And here is the track list of. We'll get into the actual tracks.
It's so weird.
But you
Love
have to
it.
hear the people who sang these songs. So they started out strong with Origin of Love, sung by Rufus Wainwright.
When the earth was still flat and the clouds made of fire, the mountains stretched up to the sky, sometimes higher.
And I'm like, that
Interesting.
makes sense. That makes sense. Followed by Angry Inch, performed by Sleater Kinney and
Wow.
sung by Fred Schneider of the B-52s.
6 inches 4 to 5 inches back. I got an angry inch.
I have an Angry Inch. I have an
It's
Angry
of
Inch.
clay. It's so good.
We were in Berlin.
Then-
Everyone have
Yeah,
messy
long story
genitals.
short. It's so good.
So, Lils, you'll love this one. The Long Grift was performed by They Might Be Giants.
Look what you've done, you gigolo.
Right, I was familiar with that one.
Yeah, Sugar Daddy was performed by Frank Black.
We'll dress up like a disco dancing, jet set in my land and Rome. Oh, if you got some sugar for me, sugar daddy, bring it home.
And
Wow.
it was engineered by Joel Hamilton and produced by Reed Paley.
This is a really cool lineup so far.
Oh, it gets better. City of Women was performed by Robin Hitchcock.
Like the moon in a well, you see your reflection, it's starting to gel.
Dang.
Freaks was performed by Imperial Teens.
One of us, one of us, one of us, one of us, one of us.
Wicked Little Town, the Hedwig version, was performed by the Breeders.
There's nothing here to thrill or bring you down.
I told you before, Nailed was performed by Bob.
Bob Mould.
Bob Mould. I want to say Bob Mould. Bob Mould. Wig in the Box was
Here we go.
the Polyphonic Spree.
I look back on where I'm from and look at the woman I've become, and the strangest thing seems.
Do you want to join our cult? put on this robe. You're in the cult now. I mean band. And Milford Lake, which is in the show but not in the movie, was John Cameron Mitchell and Stephen Trask reunited.
But I can't come clean. No, I can't come clean.
Ladies and Gentlemen was performed by Stephen Colbert, which, bam! I had no idea that Stephen
Daily Show era Stephen Colbert.
Colbert Report, Stephen Colbert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tear Me Down was performed by Spoon.
Born on the other side of the town with the tune. I made it over the great divide.
Hell yeah.
Yoko Ono and Yolo Tango did Hedwig's Lament in Exquisite Corpse.
From up the doctor's slab, I lost a piece of my heart.
Nice.
Then the Tommy Gnosis Wicked Little Town was performed by the Bends, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
More than a woman or a man, and now I understand how much I took from you.
Midnight Radio, and this is by far my favorite pairing, was performed by Cyndi Lauper and -5 featuring Peter Buck of REM.
And you're shining like the brightest star, a transmission on the midnight radio. And you're spinning like a 45 ballerina, dancing to your rock and roll.
Wow.
And
That's quite a lineup.
And the reprise of Origin of Love, which is actually the Tommy Gnosis version, was performed by Jonathan Richman.
In the heavens, there was no one to love, because there was no lover and no beloved. We were family together as one.
So,
Jonathan Richman.
Jonathan Richman.
That I need to listen to that.
Modern Lovers Jonathan Richman.
I mean, not just Modern Lovers Jonathan Richman, but Jonathan Richman solo is just a trip all the time.
Yeah. I got to listen to that album now that I saw the track listing, but this musical itself has exceeded the stage and screen, and I will get into the actual film aspect
when
later.
when you were describing that soundtrack, I was just waiting for like the one weird, strange outlier to pop up. Just be like with all these like indie darlings like Bob Mould, Frank Black, They Might Be Giants, Sleater Kinney,
Whitney Houston,
and this song performed by Simply Red.
What would Simply Red do? Wig in a box, I guess. That would be the weirdest version to have.
Simply Red with the polyphonic spree.
Polyphonic spree is the weirdest one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this was like reach
polyphonic
for the
spree. I mean, polyphonic spree is always the weirdest one in whatever they do.
To be honest, though, the Sleater Kinney with the guy from the B-52s, Fred Schneider is just my favorite because it is like it's very like straightforward. Like my mother made my tits out of clay, tits of clay, and it's so good. It's been a while since I've listened to that, so honestly, I might be misremembering things, but it's just like no.
If it's Fred
it was an
Schneider,
amazing experience.
it is someone repeating what the other person has said. So I'm guessing that's what it is.
It works. It's just
here comes a candy bar. Here comes another candy bar.
This entire movie is an example, and you can tell me if you think that I'm wrong, but I think this is the best adaptation of a stage musical to the screen. Because when you have to adapt something, we talked about this with Little Shop, Lils. When you adapt something, you have to do it for the medium. We watched a lot of musicals that are like, this could still be on the stage. Like, it's like, okay. But this
firmly feels like a film.
Because the stage show is just a concert. It's a concert.
Yeah.
It's just a concert.
Yep. It's just a concert where the lead singer talks to you a whole bunch, and there's a couple of things that they do, like kicking open a door, and there's effects and you hear things. So it's still theatrical, but it is literally just a concert and could honestly be done in your local bar.
Yeah. And
it's really impressive in that way.
They do dive deeper into the whole Yitzhak and Hedwig, but this is probably one of the best adapted. And the fact that the person who wrote the screenplay also wrote the show and is the director, because John Cameron Mitchell, they are an amazing director. If you haven't seen Rabbit Proof Fence, that is a film that will destroy you. And they are great at making really depressing shit.
Yeah, I tend to agree, because when you watch the movie, you could see like, okay, maybe there are ways to turn this into a stage production, but it doesn't feel like, even though they're constantly on stage, because they're constantly changing the space, because they're constantly on different stages, and because you're seeing all of the different stages and all of the different people that Hedwig is meeting, it's so big and so large and so high scale. It's hard to see how this could fit onto a stage. And like I say that as a theater creator, as a theater director, as someone who the whole idea is to create larger than life things in a very small stage.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to see from the movie, how could they do that? But it still has that element and that flair for the theatrical. Yeah. So it makes sense, but it works so well in a film medium.
And how I got exposed to this movie and the musical itself was, this is going to sound so crazy, but I was watching Siskel and Ebert, and they did a review of it. And this is when I was getting into like my indie movie phase and wanting to see every indie movie I could get my hands on. So I went to the Lexington Flick in Lexington, Massachusetts, the small rundown theater. It's still there. It's still great. But in the middle of this small, quaint town is this indie movie theater, and they were showing Hedwig in the Angry Inch, and it was just me and like a bunch of grandparents watching this movie.
I would have killed to be in that audience.
It was great. Yeah. But yeah.
Why are we going to learn about the metric system?
That seems very similar to like just the general, because like, you know, the band is always performing at these little
restaurants.
Basically little poopy Madukis, like
Golden Corral,
Denny's restaurants.
Yeah.
And like it's just, you know, like you're there, you're true believer, see it, and then it's surrounded by, you know, pensioners.
And the review, I just remember Roger Ebert being like, "Our next film is Hedwig and the Angry Inch, directed and starring John Cameron Mitchell. Now this is a adaptation." I'm like, "Yeah, just get to the story, damn it, Roger." And the whole thing that got me was they played a clip of Origin of Love. I'm like, I had the song stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And like all these songs will get stuck in your head for days. Especially this one, Midnight Radio and Sugar Daddy.
Sugar Daddy is a catchy song. It's very well written for what it's about. Honestly, yeah. I will say I consistently, every single time, even though I know it's coming up, I cry at Wig in a Box. And part of that is just because of, again, like my own understanding of myself and my own experience, and just that idea of like, I put on some makeup and suddenly I'm this other person, or suddenly I'm, and you don't like, and the whole like journey is that you don't need to be someone else when you're trying to find yourself, but you kind of need that exploration to find yourself.
Yeah.
And just the whole beauty of how, like the totality of how all of the songs work towards Hedwig finally walking off and finally becoming themselves in a way.
Yeah, and with that entire scene for Wig in a Box, it starts out so sad, but then as soon as they go to "You Sing With Us," it becomes like so happy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great storytelling. I still get, creeped out by the whole kids song where they actually put the lyrics on.
Wait, what?
When Hedwig
with the
like
bouncing
ball.
with the bouncy ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
So I am also going to throw something out, and this is a thing that we talked about on the Is It Transphobic podcast, where my guests AJ Mattioli and Bear, we talked a little bit about this, because people often will call Hedwig a trans character, and in a lot of ways Hedwig is a trans character, but not necessarily in the traditional way. This is a trans narrative, but it's because it's kind of assumed that Hedwig wasn't trans, just kind of queer and preyed upon, and then in order to get out of Germany is still trying to find their gender now that they've kind of found themselves in this body that they're in.
Yeah.
Right. John Cameron Mitchell has said in interviews that they never intended for the character to be read as trans, because, the sex change operation was forced upon them, basically. I was familiar with that interpretation of it and pretty much spent the whole film just watching for that. And I didn't really take, this is a trans film away so much as this is a non-binary film.
Yeah. Especially knowing that John Cameron Mitchell is now using they, them pronouns, and just like a lot of other things, there is this whole other, and, we don't necessarily need to look into the human who created it, but at the same time, it really does feel like I felt a kinship to it, but it's not about a trans character, but it is a trans narrative. It is a non-binary narrative, but in a really complicated way that's fascinating from a queer analysis standpoint.
Yeah. I think that this is an example of, so not to get all film nerd on everyone, I apologize.
Get film nerd. Get nerdy with us, Scott.
This
please.
is a perfect example of a 5-act structure. Most films are a 3-act structure, but going through the story of Hedwig starting as a child and wanting to escape East Berlin, that's Act 1, and then this should be a 3-act structure because the musical itself, the stage show, is 3 acts. But they decided as the filmmaker to just flip it on its head and be like, know what? Fuck you guys. We're going to mess with your brain. I think the most heartbreaking thing in the movie is like 3 months after Hedwig escapes to, is it Kansas City? Is Hedwig living in
Junction City, Kansas.
Okay. When Hedwig is living in Junction City, Kansas, and watching the TV, and they're like, and the Berlin Wall came down, and the look on their face of, like, it was 3 months later. Literally 3 months. It is heartbreaking. So heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Not meaning to depress anyone and get anyone down.
No, that's okay. Honestly, truthfully, my neighbors started playing music, and I was like, this is not the type of music to hear to this thing. So I wasn't sure if she was picking up. She's just like, all right.
Just picking up my axe.
Oh, but yeah, no, it's like that's what I love about this is there are so many layers within the narrative, and it comes across, and like honestly, if you're just looking at it at face value, if you're just picking it up, you can see the change, and you can hear just in the music. There was something that someone said to me, and this, I was very anti-musical for most of my time in college, for most of my early career as a playwright, and part of that is I don't know anything about music, so this scary thing is something I'm never going to focus on. I don't understand it, so get it away from me.
Wow, I must have annoyed the shit out of you with put on your Sunday best, there's a world out there.
I was wondering why 7 a.m. and at my door every single day. Scott
with a
was
top
doing
hat
this.
and a little...
Yeah.
And a cane.
Oh, yeah, no, a top hat, the cane, the tails, really.
Candy
I was very
stripe suit.
impressed.
Scott, we don't have time for
annoying.
this, but I have a whole tap dance number. Take the stairs. Click, 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 click as I go down the stairs.
So, but yeah, no, I was really against it. And then I started reading a lot more directing books, directing for stage, and a lot of other directors who felt that way. There is something that pulls an emotion out of you in music that no matter how good, and I say this as a playwright, no matter how good of a written word, no matter how well performed, you're never going to get that emotion like you will in a song.
Yeah, Edgar Wright is inspired by musicals for most of his movies. He made Baby Driver to be a musical without songs. Like, that's why, like, all of the stunts are choreographed to a particular song.
But yeah, like in the music in this, it's also because it's okay, sure, they like Hedwig specifically states on Hedwig's sleeve, this like it's all about punk rock. But there are so many other aspects of musical genre that get pulled in that work so well as a larger musical.
Hedwig talks about being inspired by Tony Tennille, to which I say, what the fuck, Hedwig? What about the captain? The captain. What about the fucking captain? The captain was there with Tony Tennille. The captain walked so Tony Tennille could run.
Ah, yes. Esteemed punk DIY icon Debbie Boone.
Because when Hedwig is going through that monologue and they're like, yes, the classic songstresses of Anne Murray, Judy Collins, Tony Tennille. I'm like, what about Stevie Nicks?
Couldn't get the rights to say Stevie Nicks.
The classic Mount Rushmore of punk rock. Henry
Tony
Rollins.
Tennille.
You got Henry Rollins, Ian MacKaye, Glenn Danzig, Debbie Boone. That's Mount Punkmore.
on Mount Punkmore, my Mount Punkmore would be Henry Rollins. Basically, everyone you said up until we get to Debbie Boone, but it is the captain with his captain's hat and Tony Tennille.
It's just the members of Jefferson Starship. That's 100%.
It has a very David Lynch ending.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
In terms of its open-endedness.
Not just that, but when Tommy Gnosis, Tommy singing, and Hedwig is taking off the wig and turning into Tommy, like, that's so Lynchian. That's so like, oh, hey, what we're going to do now is you take off the wig and you give it to Yitzhak, and you're crying and Tommy's crying, and there's
So here's what's
sandworm.
going to happen. So you're you, and that's Tommy. But now you're Tommy. And get naked.
But don't forget, you're in the boy shorts. You're in the little 1930s shorts.
But
Well,
eventually you will get naked.
Well, and so
I
much
would
of
like
that-
to see butts.
I feel like David Lynch just saying I would like to see butts is absolutely. Part of that is also just because the character is part of it is they're having a mental breakdown, but part of it is they're literally tearing apart things. They're tearing apart the tomatoes that they keep in their chest area to give the impression of breasts. They're tearing off their clothing. They're tearing off their wig that has become synonymous with them. And so much of it is that I am tearing down, which leads into that ending where I have been building up everything based on wig in a box, based on putting on some makeup, based on doing all these things to understand who I am, when in reality now I do understand who I am, and I've ripped apart all the things on the outside, and I'm just naked and afraid and walking outside.
Yeah.
And to me, like, that's, and literally,
And
like,
David
again,
Lynch is looking at my butt.
David Lynch is looking right at my ass. So,
what can I say? I like butts.
but yeah, no. So for me, like, that just, especially like as a trans person who, like, has tried to fit into various boxes, has tried to understand things, who gets told you're not feminine enough, or you're too feminine, you're doing all of these things. This is why, again, like, it's not specifically a trans narrative, but boy, do I pull from it this idea that I don't have to be anything other than just myself.
Yeah,
and
the connection can be made.
Yeah.
I think the biggest distraction in the entire movie is Andrea Martin. Like,
I don't care.
No, I know why she's there, and I know, like, they did it to like bring a crowd in because of her legacy with SCTV and Broadway theater.
I mean, she fits the role. Like, the role is she's there to be their manager.
Right.
And they've gotten big enough that they need a manager, but not big enough that they're not going to perform while people eat lobster.
Right.
And go to the Golden Corral.
Not big enough that they can perform in a venue instead of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Which, as someone who has been through, like, you know, local bands and stuff constantly, I couldn't, like, watch the film without just constantly thinking to myself, how is there no like All Asias or, you know, small scale Middle East type venues? You know, these are all Massachusetts references to venues, by the way.
Yeah.
How is there
no Paradise Rock Club?
No, Paradise Rock Club is probably even still too big. But I mean, how is there no like small scale venues in this spot? I mean, then again, I mean, it was Junction City, Kansas, so. But
then they go to Chicago. They go. I know Chicago.
There's like definitely small venues in Chicago.
They should be playing on Second City. You know, stop the improv.
And I feel like it's also not completely explicit in the movie, but in the stage show, it's very clear that they are literally just stalking Tommy.
Yeah.
And going to every, like, where he's playing his stadium, they will play at the bar 3 streets down from the stadium.
Yep.
So Hedwig is constantly literally constantly haunted by Tommy because she's literally stalking the man. So
well, it's because Tommy stole all the songs and gave her in the show. Hedwig should I be using they them?
I've just been saying Hedwig kind of, like, I believe Hedwig is using she her in the show, but I'm just using Hedwig's name.
But the reason why Hedwig is stalking Tommy, because Tommy stole all of the music rights and no money. This is like a Buckingham Nicks situation. Like, so.
Yep, just like when Stevie Nicks played at Buckingham Palace and they stole all her music. Yes, Buckingham Nicks.
They hit him in their big hats.
Yes. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, love. There's
okay, where's my
lyrics here.
Okay, where'd you hide the music? Music? Hey, what?
Music?
No music around here, I say.
I've just got a landslide in my big hat. That's Australian, but there's an Aussie there.
Sorry, Sheila.
I saw that. You were hiding Tusk in there. No, I bloody wasn't.
That's just a rumor, love. You go your own way.
You think I don't know the difference between Tusk and a beefeater? Yes.
Well, you're right.
But, like, the story itself, like, for a screenplay that has, you know, subtext and underlying issues that are very upsetting, a good filmmaker will basically use all of the tools in their arsenal to make you think about it later. Because once you see the movie, you're like, oh, wow, that was beautifully shot. The music is great. And then, like, a few days later, you're like, hey!
Wait.
Hey,
just a
I'm feeling feelings.
Wait just a ding-dang minute. What the flippin' heck is going on around here?
It's almost like a Bugs Bunny thing where you get tricked. We're all Elmer Fudd. It's like, oh, okay, here. Wait a minute. They distracted me with song.
But they do such a good job of building up. Like the second song in the show is Origin of Love. And you hear that and it's a beautiful song. And you think about it as like, oh, it's about you finding someone. And it's about you having a predestined someone that you're trying to find. And then by the end, it's not about that. It's about you being enough for yourself.
Right.
And
the
it's
two
so
sides
like,
of you.
yeah. And
the animation
all
for
of
that
it.
scene is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we get into the tracks?
Probably. I mean, we're kind of talking about them already.
Yeah, let's get into the tracks.
Okay. So, geez, which should I be referring to? I'll just refer to the soundtrack listed on the Wikipedia page for the film.
So that's out of order a bit.
Oh, yeah. The movie soundtrack, because I do have that because I was lucky enough to get it before it was out of print.
Well, like
How
the page,
dare you?
the page for the soundtrack, like
Yeah,
the
all
song-
out of order.
Well, I mean, they're not in order for like where they appear in the film necessarily.
Right.
Okay. So, film soundtrack. First track, number 1, Tear Me Down.
Don't you know me, Kansas City? I'm the new Berlin Wall. Try and tear me down. I was born on the other side of a town written too. I made it over the Great Divide. Well, now I'm coming for you.
Ah, so good.
Yeah, this one basically is the whole Led Zeppelin or Spinal Tap. Tonight we're gonna rock you.
Yeah, no, it's a great intro. You understand immediately sort of what you're in for, but also it tells you a lot of like the history is literally this is all about the Berlin Wall and
Yep.
I am the new Berlin Wall. Come on and try and tear me down. I will also say, because we haven't mentioned this, in the movie, John Cameron Mitchell refused to use a backing track, would only sing live.
Yeah.
So all of those was John Cameron Mitchell's voice with backing music.
Right.
And on the soundtrack, obviously it's a different sound because,
I think it
they
works
went into
better.
the studio and they did it. I love it. Honestly, I love it in the film, and it still works very well on the actual movie soundtrack if you're able to hear it. So,
They saw what Robert Altman did with Popeye and thought, what if but good? Will everything still be food?
No.
well, and from what I understand, John Cameron Mitchell had to fight because of not necessarily
Had
Popeye
to fight Robert
specifically.
Altman?
Yes.
At the time,
Everyone has to fight. That's how
Popeye
New
was-
Line Cinema works.
at the time, Popeye was the only musical that people sang live, and they were afraid that it was going to cost money because that's what really tanked Popeye. Is they were spending so much money on reshoots when the syncing didn't add up.
And cocaine.
And cocaine.
So I have a little story about Tear Me Down.
Okay.
So I had not seen Hedwig the Angry Inch, but this was my first. This song ended up being my first exposure to it when I was still in high school. Our mutual friend performed a drag performance with live music at another Massachusetts venue, Jacques Cabaret, and did just because we were some local musicians that they knew. Me, my friend Al, and funnily enough, another second Al.
Al, and Lils.
Yep, to be backing. I played drums. My friend Al played guitar, and the other Al played bass.
Right. Lils and the Angry Owls. Anyway, continue.
And yeah, like Tear Me Down was one of the songs that we performed, and I have no idea if we were in tune because everyone was very incredibly drunk the night. We did 3 songs. We did that one. We did "Search and Destroy" by Iggy and the Stooges, and a certain Patti Smith song that we should not have been performing as white high school kids.
Was it Downtown Train?
Oh, amazing!
My preemptive exposure to Hedwig and the Angry Inch through that.
Wow.
And yeah, it's good. And yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah,
It's a great
hell
song.
yeah.
Next track.
After that, according to Wikipedia, we've got Random Number Generation, excerpt
Hell yeah.
only. I don't really remember that one,
So
probably
that one-
because it was just such a short clip of it.
So that one was actually a full number in the Hedwig stage show, and it ended up. I forget if it's still in the show itself or if it got cut.
No, it's now. So in the newer version. So this is what I was going to mention. In the 2014 one, I mentioned everyone who played Hedwig in this one, in the original one. This one was the one that had the most famous Hedwigs. They replaced it with the love theme from Hurt Locker the musical.
Oh, that's right. I remember that because because it was on Broadway. It had never been on Broadway before. It was just in New York, and so when they brought it to Broadway, they basically because the idea is whenever you get the space, you can do whatever you want to the space, or you can leave it alone if it's just you're doing it at a bar. They basically were like, well, let's do it as if we're getting time while another show is building. So we have to get in really quick. So we're doing it as part of we're on the set of we're on the stage of Hurt Locker the musical.
So the cast of the 2014 one was Lena Hall as Yitzhak and Neil Patrick Harris as Hedwig, but the replacements for Hedwig are insane.
I really wish I had seen some of these. Honestly, I didn't get a chance to see any of them. But go on, Scott. Yeah,
Andrew Rannells replaced Neil Patrick Harris. Then Michael C. Hall.
I would have killed for Michael C.
I
Hall.
would have killed for Michael C. Hall. Then John Cameron Mitchell replaced Michael C. Hall. Then Michael Cerveris replaced John Cameron Mitchell. Then Darren Criss.
No, that's right.
Darren Criss was a very famous one. Was the second to last one, and the last one was Taye Diggs.
Yep.
And then Fred Schneider.
Here for this.
Next track.
Yes.
After that, we got Tear Me Down, the Tommy Gnosis version. This version sucked.
Yeah, all of the Tommy Gnosis ones are supposed to suck.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like,
So-
there was nothing cool about this version of Tear Me Down as compared to, like, the original one.
Wait,
Like, it's like
hold on.
it's like the comparison between, like, Tear Me Down is, like, solidly Iggy Pop, and the Tommy Gnosis version is,
Len.
like, fucking...
When did that? Wait, hold on.
I was gonna say Billy Idol, but that's... Sure,
It's
it's
playing-
Len.
it's
Sure,
playing
it's
when-
Len.
Oh, it's playing in the background. That's
On
right.
the TV.
On the TV.
Yeah.
On the talking box.
On MTV. That ain't
That's
working.
right. Just real quick with random number generation, the entire thing is it was built really quick. Going back to that one, it was built as a song to show off Yitzhak and show off what Yitzhak can do, and so it is really sad that it doesn't get done very often. It's not like the best song. It's definitely on a chopping block. Like, yeah, okay, if we need to cut time, I guess this is one that we can cut. But it's just like. It shows off what Yitzhak's voice can do because it also gives Hedwig a moment to step backstage and just not be on stage for a second. So-
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, continue.
Track 4?
Yep.
Track 4, the aforementioned Origin of Love.
When the earth was still flat, and clouds made of fire, and mountains stretched up to the sky, sometimes higher. Folks roamed the earth like big rolling kegs. They had 2 sets of arms, they had 2 sets of legs, they had.
Love this song. This song is so good.
It's a good song.
It reminds me of any of you familiar with the band The Weaker Thans?
No.
I'm familiar with them. I don't know a lot of their material though.
So I'll splice in.
I friggin' love One Great City though.
So they have a song called Left and Leaving, and the instrumentation is very similar to Origin of Love. It's really I just love.
My city's still breathing, but barely, it's true. Through buildings gone missing like teeth, the sidewalks are watching me think about you.
Everything about this song. The build-up, how it starts off slow, and how both Hedwig and Yitzhak, sing it together at the bridge. So good.
We mentioned Donovan earlier. This one does feel like very much like a Donovan song in a lot of ways upon first listen. At least that's how I thought of it.
When Atlantis was born in the mellow yellow decide.
Hank Aaron, the guy who invented Coca-Cola.
I ended up performing this song at a random cabaret in college at one point, and it's such a good song. I love it. Yeah.
Next track.
That's all. That's all you get.
That's what you get. Read a book, kids. No one's gonna get that reference. Unless you were really into the Tick cartoon in the 90s.
God, I love that.
Track 5, Sugar Daddy.
The thrill of control, like the rush of rock and roll. It's the sweetest taste I've known. Oh yeah. If you've got some sugar, bring it home.
So when they
This
did
one
Sugar
was
Daddy,
a little uncomfortable.
yeah,
But I'm
it's
sure that was
supposed-
the point.
Yeah.
Yep.
When they did Sugar Daddy at the Tonys, that's the song they perform. Neil Patrick Harris as Hedwig does the car wash, as they call it in the movie, where with the old guy, you know what I'm talking?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He did that to Orlando Bloom.
Good.
Take
Honestly,
that,
like,
Legolas.
I feel like Orlando Bloom would have had fun with that.
Next track.
After that, we got Angry Inch.
I got an angry itch. 6 inches forward and 5 inches back. I got an angry itch. 6 inches forward and 5 inches back. I got an angry itch.
Definitely that one felt like a very sort of like centerpiece kind of song. But
Yeah.
really, there was a lot of centerpiece songs in this musical.
Let's take a vote. Should I put in
Yeah.
the movie version or should I put in the Fred Snyder version? All in favor of movie version, raise your hands.
Why not do both?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that meme with the little kid. Why not both?
Fine.
Why not both? Here comes a dogfish.
Yeah. Like
I keep doing the Fred Schneider voice only because it's so fun to do.
It really is.
when
It becomes addictive, honestly.
They made an entire improv game out of Fred Schneider's voice.
the thing that about this song about Angry Inch is this should be the most upsetting song in the entire musical. But it's so rocky, and like this is what I was saying about the whole hey, that was great. Wait a minute. Like this is the example of that was great. Wait a minute.
Well, and it's specifically because it's like directly about a lot of bodily trauma that Hedwig is experiencing and has experienced and is continuing to experience, because it's almost Hedwig taking it and using it as like, I am going to find some sort of positive. I'm going to use it for my art. I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And as we all know, from the 90s into 2000s new metal movement, you should also maybe see a therapist. But hey, that's it. Sometimes it can create some pretty good stuff.
Yep.
And this is definitely one of those things where taking that and creating something really worked, as far as a like, yeah, I feel a lot of this, but also it's catchy, and also, wow. I don't know if that rant really worked, but yeah.
Ashley, that was a great catharsis. Next track.
After that, we got track 7, Wig in a Box.
I'm this Farrah Fawcett from TV until I wake up and I turn back to myself. Shag bar, level bar, Goldie Hamel do sausage curls, chicken wing, it's all because of you. With your blow dry feather back, only home way too.
Makes
Is
me
it-
cry.
This was
Makes
a
me
good
cry.
But this song, so beautiful. And when it goes from being sad to happy sad, because this is an example. Ash, have you seen Sing Street?
No.
You would love Sing Street.
Is that the Bjork one, or is that a
No,
different
that's
one?
Dancer
I've
in
listened
the
to a
Dark.
couple of your episodes. Okay.
Sing Street was the John Carney, the guy who wrote Once. It was his follow-up.
It's an Irish film.
I
Very-
probably might
very
like it,
New
actually.
Wave
It's based.
centric.
It's loosely based on the friendship of the Edge and Bono as kids and how they. But the whole concept for that is finding happy sad. Being happy with your sadness. And this song, "Wig in a Box," is the epitome of happy sad.
It also, and we kind of alluded to this earlier, the idea of storytelling within the song itself, and that's so much a part of musical theater, is what is the beginning, middle, and end of this song, and does that happen within one song, or does it take 2 or 3 songs to get that progression? And with this one, the contained story of, I was incredibly sad because everyone who I loved either left me or was left behind, and now I've found a community, now I've found myself, even though it's still an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
Like that story of finding oneself through the wigs and the boxes, and through just going out and finding yourself, is a really good beginning, middle, end within the song, because they do that. They build it up and they're like, oh, I'm finding something, and then I take it off and I go back to myself. And it's like, ooh, yeah.
Jeez. So
I
dumb.
am so curious about the typo negative version of this song.
It's not great. It's
oh,
I mean, it's funny.
that's a
Here's the
shame.
thing. It is funny.
Oh, did they play it up for
It's-
laughs?
Kind of, like they did it. Here's the thing. They
That's a
did it
bummer.
straight. And by did it straight, I mean both in they played it 100%, but also they're typo negative, so they're super straight. And it appears on the same album as the song I Like Goyles, which is the most homophobic song I've heard from Typo Negative. So it's really hard to gauge the, because ultimately, Angry Inch, the way Typo Negative does it, is very well done, but it's also kind of boring because it's just them, and then the breakdown where it's Peter Steele doing his thick Brooklyn, yeah, long story short, I was bleeding down there, bleeding from the gash between my legs. It was it's just it kind of works on a comedy level, but it really ruins the song.
I'm also
and the
very
impact.
curious about the Polyphonic Spree version of this song. I'm going to have to look that up later.
Yeah.
Also, since we're on the topic of Peter Steele, I'll just say that if Peter Steele, Brad Roberts from Crash Test Dummies, and Stephen Merritt from The Magnetic Fields were ever to meet, I have a feeling that the frequency of their conversation would crack the
explode
earth.
their heads.
Would crack the earth in twain.
I just want to say, since we're talking about Peter Steele, Typo Negative, and I say this as a person who loves Typo Negative and who has seen Typo Negative. Typo Negative is just romance novels for cis dudes.
I don't listen to Typo Negative. Next track!
After that, we got the Tommy Gnosis version of The Origin of Love, excerpt only.
Yeah.
Also
The
not good.
Osiren. That entire conversation when they get into a fight.
Osiris.
Yeah.
That's the thing, they build those up very well because we're just hearing little bits, but we're hearing enough to know that he's messing them up, and every single time it's setting Hedwig off, and it's just it works for what it is, but it's not good.
Yeah, not good.
I don't have anything to say about any of the Tommy Gnosis versions.
I doubt any of us do.
I will when we get to Tommy Gnosis's version of Wicked Little Town, but yes, continue.
Right. After that, we've got Wicked Little Town, the OG version.
There's nothing here to thrill or bring you down. And if you've got no other choice, you know you can follow my voice through the dark turns and noise of this wicked little town.
it kills me.
This
kills me. I love
so
it.
Good.
It's so, like, we talked about that, like the idea of that happy sad. It's not happy, but there is this, like, this sadness that works in a way that almost makes me happy in it.
It reminds me of I'm Going Home.
Yeah.
From Rocky Horror.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely not happy, but at the same time, there's something uplifting about it that's still very sad. And it's this idea of, like, I'm now here and that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
See, to
Vibe.
me, the difference is I like Hedwig the Angry Inch, and I don't like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay. Hedwig
the
and
main
the Angry
difference.
Inch.
I'm sorry, the Angry Itch.
Oh, you just did Moira Rose. Haley had a question.
Didn't I?
Haley had a question watching this. Do you think, because Dan Levy loves this movie, do you think this is where they got the idea of all of Moira's wigs?
I have to sit with that. I'm not sure, because there is a certain extent that when, you know, like, Moira is an actor of a certain type, so having a lot of wigs makes sense. But at the same time, I don't. Maybe.
My wife is a genius.
I gotta meet your wife. She seems lovely.
She's great.
After that, we've got... What is this doing here? Track 10, I Will Always Love You, excerpt only.
This
This was incidental song. Why is this
Yeah.
even listed here?
I'm not putting this in.
No.
Next track.
Excuse me. Track 11, The Long Grift, excerpt only, full version on soundtrack.
Seductive serenade. I was a tool of your trade. You gigolo. Of all the
This was another one I don't remember simply because, you know, the clip they used was so short.
It's so short.
Yeah. It's a very good song, but yeah, it got enough across that essentially Tommy is trying to create Tommy's own music, and Tommy has the ability to, because when you hear the full Long Grift, it's a very well put together song. And so especially when it is contrasted with all of these excerpts of Tommy just stealing Hedwig's music, you wish that he had just continued, but he was also into different music than Hedwig.
Yeah.
So Hedwig was hearing this and saying, no, you need to stop listening to America and Bread. Like,
Yeah, because this entire, like, beef between them is, what if Billy Corgan ripped off Cher? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not gonna.
I'm not sure if we can.
What if Billy Corgan ripped off Tina Turner?
I'm a dancer.
Better be.
Actually, I was trying to go for Billy Corgan, but honestly,
Is that
You
your
went to
Billy Corgan?
Bobcat Goldway?
I kind of did.
No credit, crazy. Serious.
This is why I don't do impressions, y'all. This is
Despite all that rage, I'm still just trying to educate you guys.
Is that Morty?
God is empty, just like me.
Next track.
that was wow.
Next track.
All right. Track number 12. Today's the greatest day I've ever known. No. That's also a fun voice to do.
It really is.
You're gonna be so sore later.
Track number 12, Freaks. Another excerpt only. Full version on soundtrack with Girls Against the Boys.
The Bubbles of Bombay, she's the bearded lady of Avenue A. That's the way God planned it. That's the way. That's the way God planned it. That's the way.
Mm-hmm.
The famed American post-hardcore band.
Yeah.
Yep, it's fine.
This is
Truthfully,
another.
this is one of the weakest ones. I'm
Yeah.
glad they only did an excerpt.
Really?
It's good. It's fine. It's a fine song.
this is-
It's just okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's
Asked and
okay.
answered.
It's okay.
Asked and
Truthfully,
answered.
with all of the with most of the songs being just straight up bangers, this is it does the job it needs to do. So cool. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is an oh cool, nice.
Yeah.
It's like, huh, thank you, Girls Against Boys. And they're just
No,
like, no.
thank you, Lils.
And they're just like, no prob.
It's like we do our best.
After that, track 13, In Your Arms Tonight.
In your arms tonight. In your arms tonight. In your arms tonight. Oh my
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one was
I
fine.
don't remember this one, even though it was like a full clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was this not a very memorable one?
Oh man, I've forgotten about this one. Yeah, I wonder if
The-
maybe it just was
this-
less memorable.
I believe this was the one that was playing when they were in where Tommy was spying on.
Not a Cutting Crew cover, by the way.
Wasn't this the one that was playing when Tommy was spying on them at the hiding behind the plant? Wasn't this the song?
Was it? Was that the one they were playing in the? No, that wasn't the
I thought
one
that
where
was
they were
Wicked
playing in the
Little
yogurt
Town.
part. Was it? I thought that was Wicked Little Town too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember this one.
Oh man, that's not a great sign.
I
But yeah, no,
genuinely don't remember this one either.
I know I'm going to listen to it again and I'm going to be like, oh, it's this one. Yeah, this is kind of similar to the Freaks. This was fine. This, yeah. Very well done
not
song.
I don't remember it, but I'm sure it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we got track 14, Hedwig's Lament.
I was born on the other side of a town ripped in two, and no matter how hard I try,
Yeah, this one's sad.
It was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one that goes right into Exquisite Corpse, though, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
was
see,
supposed
it's a
to
great
say
movement
that.
from that into that. I'm sorry.
Don't do my job.
I am guessing. You are helping me confirm. But the reason
How
I bring that
dare.
up,
Yes, you
the
are
reason I bring that up
guesting.
is because the reason I bring that up is because it works so well moving.
Know
into...
your place, young lady.
Ma'am,
So what comes
please.
after that, Lils? What comes after
I
Hedwig's
accidentally
Lament?
drifted into Fred Schneider right there. Know your place.
So what happens after? I don't know. That was trying to be that voice I
Come
created
on,
before.
you're
It's
on
never,
breezy.
honestly, it's never gonna come back because I'm trying too hard now.
Track number 15, Exquisite Corpse. We
Oh,
go
see-
in. We go in from. That's how it's
Hedwig's
done.
Lament works so well.
That's how you do it.
Random pattern with the needle and thread. The overlapping way diseases are spread to a tornado body with a hand grenade head and a leg that's a rubber bread.
Instead of horror wrap, outside the paper trap, and all the rest illusion.
Now you're Lewis Black. Hey, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Calm down.
You think it's easy to just read track lists? It's not. But yeah, what I was gonna say, like, it goes from to Hedwig's Lament, which is just the saddest thing
Song.
like you'll ever hear, into a huge fucking banger.
Yeah, where everyone goes crazy in a bar.
Yeah,
This is to me the most like when you think of punk rock as a non-punk rock listener.
What kind of
like-
got me, like, during that whole sequence was, like, this is the point where Hedwig, is, getting what they deserve, and, like, Tommy Gnosis is on a downswing, Hedwig is on an upswing. Now she's performing in Times Square, and still performing at a Times Square Bilgewater's.
Yeah. I love that they're all called
Bilgewater's,
Bilgewater's.
by the way, their equivalent of, like, the
Bennigans.
Bennigans. Yeah. One of those type of places. One of those Poopy Maduki type places.
Yep, this song's great.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say.
Yeah.
because I think my favorite track is next.
Oh, yeah? Would that be track 16, Wicked Little Town Reprise?
No.
Yes. God, I love it.
No.
Then maybe don't go making such wild...
There's nothing you can find that cannot be found. 'Cause with all the changes you've been through, it seems the stranger's always you. Alone again in some new wicked little town.
See, Scott, this
Sweeping
isn't an easy job.
assumptions.
You should let Lils talk about what the track list is.
I
instead of
hate you
interrupting
both.
her.
You suck.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I
no,
love
we
you.
don't.
Yeah, I love you.
We're cool. You're lame. I'm sorry.
No.
That's it. I don't need
But and is the reprise like because based on track listing? So that I
Scott's
know which
reaching
one-
for the podcast over button.
Yeah. Click.
Is that the one that's the Tommy Gnosis version, or is that a different song?
This is the
entirely?
Tommy Gnosis version.
Yeah, that's the reprise.
Yeah. See, I love it because it also shows that Tommy Gnosis is changing the lyrics. And again, like in the other ones, it doesn't work. This one, it shows that he actually has some skill. B, he's got some emotional wherewithal to kind of like make this to Hedwig and say, you don't need all of that. You were perfect. And
Yeah,
the
it's-
more you,
It's the one time in the entire film when Tommy Gnosis is actually cool.
Did
yeah.
Tommy Gnosis write that, or was it really secretly ghostwritten by Jeff Buckley?
I mean, I'm not saying no, but I also don't know enough about Jeff Buckley other than I know someone who is obsessed with him. So-
So yeah, this version, you put it in perspective, Ash. I think it's good. I think, it just kind of reminds me of a Daniel Johnston song, or Daniel Johnson.
That's an interesting comparison.
And well, like, it's a pain song. It's a using your pain.
Okay, I see the comparison now that you put it in those terms.
Yeah.
I think there's
Daniel
also
Johnston is always interesting because he goes from like these insular, introverted songs one minute, and then just goes to singing songs about Mountain Dew.
Yep.
I think for me, there's also like there's so many lines in this version, like specifically like the one that always sticks out with me is just the idea of like you're more than a woman or a man, and just that like again that like those trans feels like that idea of you're so much more than everything that you try and put forth if you just can see that and get away from this wicked little town. And it's just like it just it hits me.
I don't think we can top that, so we got to go to the next track.
Yeah, the next track. Was this the one that you were referring to that was your favorite? Track number 17, Midnight Radio.
Midnight Radio is my favorite track on this album. I love this song. This song is so good.
So hold on to each other. You gotta hold on tonight. You're shining like the brightest star. A transmission on the midnight radio.
I just think transitioning from, Wicked Little Town into Midnight Radio, great job, John Cameron Mitchell. You're the tops. The bee's knees.
The Real
That's
Cat's Pajamas.
Sorry, I should have let you go on the track. I'm sorry. That was
That time I think it was just like our trans brains were just interconnected in that instance.
it's true. We do have a trans link.
Yes.
Trans communication, if you will.
Don't tell everyone that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
That's
right.
supposed to be our trans secret.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, this song is just so good. It's such a good song.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite in the musical, but it is a really good song.
Yeah, it's in the musical. Like someone explained it to me because I was trying to for a while. It was a great song, but it was just like I don't know how it fits. And it's like no, if you look at it from a concert perspective, they've done their set and this is the encore.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, that does make sense. But it's also, even though it's still part of the narrative of Hedwig letting go and Hedwig essentially allowing Yitzhak to be Yitzhak, especially in the movie, it makes sense from the narrative of the film, but it does from a structural standpoint where you're like feeling the emotion from the music that they've been building from start to finish. Yeah, it's the encore. We don't need to give you any more, but here's a little bit more, just so that you have this, because we think that this is good and we think we're going to send you home happy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear anything you said of that because I was so distracted watching your cats climb on things.
Yeah, my cats are in the background right now. Nadia usually doesn't appear on film, honestly, so Laszlo is just kind of playing with her.
Your cats are named Laszlo and Nadia?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's great.
So they were, when we adopted them, they were named Bitsy and Binky, and we said that's not gonna work.
Absolutely not.
Nope. So we adopted them from Brooklyn Animal Rescue, I believe, and I apologize if that doesn't exist or that's a different org. But we kind of met them and we were immediately like, we love these cats. We need to think of new names.
So what if like you look that up and like, what did you say, Brooklyn Animal Rescue? That may or may not have been a place. What if you look that up and it's just like a real estate office?
You know what? They gave us some great cats, that real estate office.
And a nice 2-bedroom. So, are we at the end of the tracks?
Yeah. And unless we want to count Nailed, which is on the soundtrack only.
Nail you down. Nail. 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 They made you crazy to get you nailed.
I forget that one.
That's the one that Bob Mould sang on. That you said.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So we have a rating system on this podcast now that we've come to the end of the tracks. If it's a great movie musical, it's hell of a musical. If it's bad, it's hell is a musical. If it's meh, it's Purgatory Pete's Razzmatazz Factory. What do you give this?
Well, on my podcast, Meanie McFiendy and the Boner Gang, we would have given it
12
hell of a
boners.
musical. 12 boners and 5 McFiendies.
And one butt.
And one butt for David Lynch. No, 100%, this is a hell of a musical.
Yeah.
I am also going to say this is a hell of a musical. I don't think I'm quite in love with the film like you guys are, but maybe that just means I need it to...
It took a while.
Yeah, maybe that just means I need it to, like, really, truly marinate. Oh.
I'm sorry, podcast audience. My cat just pulled his crate down on top of him.
Is he okay?
I think he's trapped in it. Hold on. Oh, please don't edit this out, Scott.
I'm not going to.
As I was saying that, like, I was watching, just going like, uh-oh, 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 and then it happened.
So, yeah, for me, honestly, it took 20...
What's this, Laszlo? The what you've reaped being sown?
I didn't hear any of that, but I assume it was great.
So, I was starting to say that it took me 20 years to, to
like truly appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's mainly the music that gets me. Like this is a concert film to me. This is a concert soundtrack, and I would have loved this movie if they did it, like The Last Waltz, or if they did it like a fake band and a fake stage musical. If they literally did it like the actual show itself, I still think it would be good. Doing the cutaways and adapting it and telling a story about, all these hardships that Hedwig has gone through, that works, but this also could have worked as a, mockumentary, documentary, fake band.
Yeah. I think they made all the right choices in this, but yeah, I can also see how it can be adapted in a lot of other ways and still work.
Yeah,
exactly like you say.
The fact that it was filmed like that with all the cutaways and all those different sequences and stuff instead of, making it a story, I feel like made it a lot more powerful. Because, like, if it was just a story, I feel like it'd be a lot easier for it to fall into corny biopic tropes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that well before, like, biopics were really, like, a big thing that had tropes, but...
It was on its way.
Still.
So, Ash, you want to promote anything? You want to promote your podcast, Boner Town, or whatever it's called?
I can't even keep track of what I was making up. So I have one podcast that we're still working on and one podcast that I've retired. You can listen to the back catalog of the Is It Transphobic podcast. I have not announced it on the podcast yet, but I've announced it on Twitter that we're no longer making episodes for that, unfortunately, but the back catalog will be up there. We did do an episode on Hedwig and the Angry Inch, as well as a number of other really interesting stuff.
It's a good podcast. I was on an episode to talk about Big Mouth.
Yeah. And we do have a backlog of a couple of episodes that I just don't have the time or the energy to edit, but they will go up eventually. I don't know, maybe in 20 years.
When hell freezes over.
When hell freezes over, when I finally watch
They're going to be put on the next golden disc that goes into space.
Yep. It's going to be sitting there with the Wu-Tang Clan album. Just Martin Shkreli is holding on to it. You can blame him for all that.
Can we send him into space too?
So that one, as well as the Right to Play podcast, which is done by myself and fellow playwright Gina Femia, where we talk about the art, craft, and business of playwriting. So we need to, now that the pandemic is not over, but is becoming a little bit more manageable, I guess is the language I'm using. Knock, knock. That was booming.
Come in.
We are going to hopefully start recording new episodes soon. And yeah, I highly recommend those podcasts.
Lils, what do you want to promote?
I don't really have anything new, like, project-wise necessarily. Hopefully that's going to change real soon. I'm going to have some free time very quickly in a bit. But otherwise, I would say go check out the other Zero Science podcasts on the Zero Science Network, and both Scott and my respective podcasts, Writer's Bagel Basket and Jukebox Zeros.
And remember, everyone, if you're at a Bennigan's, you really should be at Bilgewater's, because that's where Hedwig and the Angry Inch performs.
There's another candy bar!
With Lils and Scott.
Zero Science.